Most audiophiles are completely wrong about amplifiers, and today we're exposing the truth. For years, people have believed that spending thousands of dollars on an amp is the only way to get real high-end sound. But what if I told you that a budget amplifier like the Sony STR-DH190 Stereo Receiver can already deliver sound quality that's shockingly close to those expensive setups? In this video, we're breaking down the biggest myths in the audiophile world, testing what actually matters, and revealing whether expensive amplifiers are truly worth it or just massively overrated. If you ever wonder whether you're missing out by not upgrading your amp, this video might completely change how you think about sound. Foci Audio BT20A Pro. The Foci Audio BT20A Pro amplifier is one of those rare products that doesn't just perform well, it actually challenges the entire way many audiophiles think about amplifiers. In the hi-fi world, there's a strong belief that bigger, heavier, and more expensive automatically means better sound. People expect massive transformers, premium branding, and high price tags to deliver a completely different listening experience. But the moment you try something like the BT20A Pro, that belief starts to crack. This is a compact, budget-friendly amplifier that looks almost too simple to be taken seriously, yet once you connect it to a decent pair of speakers, it delivers a sound that is clean, punchy, and surprisingly powerful for its size. It doesn't try to overwhelm you with features or luxury design. It focuses purely on delivering a solid listening experience in a straightforward way. What makes it so important for this topic is how it exposes a gap between expectations and reality. On paper, high-end amplifiers still outperform it in terms of measurements, refinement, and technical precision. But in a normal room, with a typical setup, the difference is often far smaller than people imagine. For many listeners, this little amp can already deliver a level of clarity and energy that feels satisfying, enjoyable, and complete. And that leads to an uncomfortable question. If something this affordable can sound this good, then how much of what we chase in expensive gear is actually necessary? The BT20A Pro proves that a large part of the audiophile mindset is driven not just by sound, but by perception. It shows that you don't always need extreme power, complex circuits, or thousands of dollars to enjoy music at a high level. Instead, what matters more is how well your system is put together, your speakers, your room, and your setup. Because even the best amplifier in the world can't fix a poorly balanced system. And that's exactly why this amp fits perfectly into the idea that most audiophiles are wrong about amplifiers. Not because expensive gear is useless, but because the importance of it is often exaggerated. The Foci Audio BT20A Pro reminds you that great sound doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. Sometimes a simple, well-designed amplifier can deliver most of what you're actually looking for, without the hype, without the overthinking, and without the massive price tag. And once you experience that, it completely changes how you see upgrades and what really matters in audio. Cambridge Audio EXA35. The Cambridge Audio EXA35 integrated amplifier is a perfect example of how audiophiles often overcomplicate things, and why this topic hits so hard. In a world where people constantly talk about high-end components, massive power, and expensive upgrades, the EXA35 quietly proves that simplicity can still deliver serious sound quality. This is a purely analog amplifier with around 35 watts per channel, built with a clean signal path, and even a toroidal transformer, something usually found in more expensive gear. But what makes it stand out isn't just the specs, it's a philosophy behind it. No Bluetooth, no fancy digital features, no unnecessary complexity, just pure, focused audio performance. And that's exactly where it challenges the audiophile mindset. Many people assume that more features, more power, and more money automatically mean better sound. But when you listen to the EXA35 in a real setup, especially with good bookshelf speakers, it delivers a natural, balanced, and engaging sound that already feels complete. It doesn't try to impress you with exaggerated bass or sharp detail. It presents music in a way that feels honest and easy to listen to for long sessions. And for most people, that's exactly what matters. This amplifier exposes a key truth. A lot of what audiophiles argue about, tiny differences in sound signatures, ultra-high-end components, or expensive upgrades, only becomes noticeable in very specific, highly optimized systems. In normal rooms with everyday setups, those differences shrink dramatically. What you're left with is a realization that something like the AXA35 can already deliver a huge portion of the experience people are chasing. Sony STR-DH190. Most audiophiles are actually wrong about amplifiers, and the Sony STR-DH190 Stereo Receiver is one of the best real-world examples of why that myth still exists. In the audio world, there's this long-standing belief that you need to spend thousands, sometimes even tens of thousands, of dollars to achieve true high-fidelity sound. But when you actually sit down and listen critically, especially in a normal home setup, the differences between a budget amp and a high-end one are often far smaller than people expect. The STR-DH190 might look simple and affordable, but it delivers clean, balanced, and surprisingly detailed sound that already crosses the threshold of what most people can genuinely hear and appreciate. What makes this even more interesting is how practical this amplifier is. You get a built-in phono stage for vinyl, Bluetooth connectivity for modern streaming, and enough power to drive a wide range of speakers without breaking a sweat. For the average listener, or even an enthusiast just getting into hi-fi, this is more than enough. And that's where the misconception begins. Many audiophiles chase upgrades thinking each price jump will dramatically improve sound quality, but in reality, once you reach a certain level, you start hitting diminishing returns. That means you're paying significantly more money for very small, sometimes barely noticeable improvements. Another thing people often ignore is that amplifiers are only one part of the entire system. Your speakers, room acoustics, speaker placement, and even the source of your music play a much bigger role in shaping what you actually hear. You could pair an expensive high-end amplifier with poor speakers or a bad room, and the result will still sound underwhelming. On the other hand, something like the Sony STR-DH190 paired with well-matched speakers in a properly set-up space can sound incredible, sometimes even better than setups costing several times more. This completely flips the narrative that expensive always means better. Now, this doesn't mean high-end amplifiers are useless. They often come with better build quality, more refined engineering, and subtle improvements in clarity, soundstage, or control. But the key word here is subtle. These differences are not always night and day, especially for casual listeners or typical home environments. And that's the truth many audiophiles don't like to admit. The Sony STR-DH190 exposes this gap between expectation and reality, showing that great sound is more accessible than people think, and that spending smarter often matters more than just spending more. So what's the real takeaway? Amplifiers do matter, but not in the way most audiophiles think. Once you reach a certain level, like with something as capable as the Sony STR-DH190, the improvements become smaller, harder to notice, and often not worth the huge price jump. Instead of chasing expensive gear, focusing on better speakers, room setup, and smart system matching will give you far bigger results. But now I want to hear from you. Do you think expensive amplifiers actually make a big difference, or is it all overhyped? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out my next comparison where things get even more surprising.